Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so quite a few things to cover. I'm not sure whether it will take 1 hour. So let's do the necessary, and then towards the end, if we have a bit more time, I'll really love to catch up. In terms of how we are doing as well, especially friends whom we haven't spoken to in a while. Would that be okay? Sounds good. Okay, then let's get started. So today we're going to talk about really the group insights reports. Some of us who were certified some time ago would know of this as the teamer report. We had a teamer report, and the main distinction from distinction, just like Distinctions Asia, the main distinction of that is now we have moved on to an online platform. What it means is instead of a static, you select 3 person and they form a group, and I give you a static 20-page report. Now it's moved on to be a bit more dynamic, if I can use that term, right? And how we're gonna share this with us is talk about insights report and talk about why was there this shift in terms of the design intent when we move from version 4 to version 5, right? Terence, yourself, I think yours was version 3, maybe even, yeah? Quite some
Yeah.
time. So this is version 5.
Wow.
For yourself as well, I think the main thing is in response. For some of us who just went through the most recent certification, it used to be 100 plus questions, right? And again, who are our target market? Is not the type-based tool. We are pitching against guys like like Hogan and all this as well, right? And what we have done from that version and Leonard as well until now is the number of questions have
No,
decreased.
no, 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 no recharge because it's
Oh,
just
Sean, hi, good to have you. Yeah, while maintaining the validity of the tool itself, right? So that's one of the change in the trade report. Now, in terms of the teams report, we have done is we have realized that there is a change in terms of how people work in teams, in reaction to how the world is becoming more complex. Our projects, our working environment, right, becomes more and more projectized, right? So you could be in a functional position, but you work on 3 different projects with different people. So if I give you a report and and it's just the 3 of us over here working together, uh, just maybe 1 day later, you could be working with a different team, right? Of which 2 persons are from this team and one from another. So how does that work? Do I have to create another team report? So it's like the future of work is changing, right? And having a more dynamic way of representing the data makes more sense. So this is what we are hearing from the market. This is what we're hearing from fellow practitioners. That is the reason why for the change. So today we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we're gonna most importantly share with you the demo of the product, and you could envision how this might help you in your work with your clients, help you within your organization as well. And so Xiu please help me along, right? If there's anyone who's joining, just let them in. And finally, how we can have some discussions. This is still at the beta stage. We're gonna release this sometime in mid-September. But anything that you can think of, any thoughts at all, I'll be pleased to share some of your thoughts back to the US as well, to Paradigm. All right. So that's how we're gonna spend our time together. And without further ado, we talk about this, right? Team engagement. So teams, really, we're talking about over here. The main reason, and I just had some conversations just before we met on with some other clients as well. And I asked them what is the objective, right? So you guys know, other than the workplace big five, I also carry a few other psychometric products as well, right? So if I look at those kind of conversations with clients, they always talk about how can I use this? What is your use case? I want to learn how to engage each other a little bit better, right? And beyond that, if I look at those of us who are working in the talent optimization space, it's really right now about satisfaction, engagement, right? So what keeps us engaged? And I think that is prompting the pickup of practitioners who come for certification, because this talk about energy. I can keep increasing my salary, their salary by 10%, but how long? How can this last? Is this sustainable? It's not really, because yes, no matter what you do, the teams, or should I say, if I look at some of this data that's coming up in this space, right? In my work with the other companies, you see that right now, the workforce, number of people in the workplace is straddling, and Terence is an expert in this as well, right? Across 5 different generations, they're all coming in here. And what we know is that, within the next, this is 2023, 2030, close to 25% of the workforce is going to be, what we call the Gen Zs. And what we do know from statistics and extrapolation is that this particular group has a lower tendency of staying in their job for a long time. In fact, if you take a look at 2 to 3 years, it is about time. So to get people to stay for a long time, it might not be really a very realistic expectations anymore. So what do leaders, what do we as consultants bring to the table, right? So the value add of having a tool such as the Workplace Big Five, to me, when I'm using this, is really, it helps us in making sure we're finding people the right fit, because they come in, and if they are not able to connect and we're not able to onboard them and show them how to be effective, right? By the time they take one year, half a year to come up to speed, you are left with 2 years. So this is one. So your ability to attract becomes one. Your ability to recruit properly and your ability to bring them up to speed becomes really important in such a transient kind of environment. Right? So again, it brings to these conversations about engagement and being dynamic and being dynamic. So this is basically the reason why and where I see the space personally as a practitioner, right, for this tool. So how can we actually make use of this data to see what is really the culture of the company and how our interventions might probably work? And when I show you the tool later on, it's going to make a bit of sense, right? So just going to move on very quickly to the next part over here, right? So again, it's about these 3 things which you spoke about. And of course, all our data, as you know, from Paradigm is always driven by research. And this is several things that we spoke about as well, right? How, knowing more about personalities and knowing more about how through understanding personalities, how people interact, it could have an impact on the things you do and subsequently the effectiveness, right? So we have this. And perhaps before we really go on to what you might be really interested in saying, which is the online platform, right? It's really this distinction between teams and groups, right? So for the benefit of this discussion, it might be good to offer what is Paradigm's views about groups and teams. So if you take a quick look at the screen in front of you, right, what it basically means is this, right? You have groups, right, which might be working together, right, in a huge company. So in a huge company, you are a group. We all work for the same company, but it doesn't mean that you know everybody in the company, but you are a group, right? Are you connected? We hope so, by a common value, by a common objective, but again, it need not be, right? And the different functions, as you all know, could sometimes be, in silos. So this is what we call a group, right? But group, with the data of a group, it could give you certain insights as well. On the other hand, right, if you are a true team, what they call a true team over here, that means you are dependent on one another, you are maybe in the same functional groups, you depend on one another. Well, our previous iteration of the team report seems to cater to this definition, right? So the difference is when we go to a dynamic space, a dynamic way of presenting the data, then it is our hope that it can cater to both groups and both types of conversations. Transient groups, project teams that work together for a while to maybe organize an event, year-end promotion ceremony or something, right? Maybe it's useful even in that context as well, without making a huge investment, right? So this could be one. All right. So before we go on to show us the platform itself, maybe we can just have a quick chat as well. Open mic. You can type in the chat box if it's not convenient as well. How have you been using the workplace for Teams? Any one of us have been using it, and what was your experience? Like, dislike, complaints? Right? Anything at all. If you can just type in the chat box or just unmute yourself. I know a few of us are using this a little bit more than the rest of us, right? Maybe you could share with us as well, or maybe what you envision as a use case for the team report so far, yeah? Or maybe even beyond the team report, just the traits report itself. Any sharing from some of us? Would anybody want to just maybe give some sensing of how you're using it in your work with teams? Sanjay, if you don't mind the arrow.
Yeah, I figured it was coming this way. I don't know. I just had this feeling that it was about to come this way. That's why I unmute. Hey, you are talking about Workplace Big Five. You're talking about the team report.
Mm. You could do team interventions if you think about it without the team report, as I always say.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
because the last time we had a discussion, the team report, there was some issue, right? I think that's why we said don't use it for a while.
Mm.
I think that was probably last year. So I've not marketed or not used the team report at all, right? But if you say just using Workplace Big Five or using the trade competency reports, yes, right? We try to do that as well. But then you have to do activities to, talk to each other, right? So do activities to understand. So the different profiles, we kind of mix them up, or to get them into like what we call diverse teams, like, right? Or sometimes we mix them up and we put all the reactive one side, and all the resilient one side, and then have a discussion on how they behave, right? So that's how we've pretty much I've just used the trade report and the trade competency in order to like do any kind of team activity, lah. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing as well. And Chris, we noted your statement, and Leonard is about one-for-one coaching. If you think about it, right, one-for-one coaching, which guys, if you haven't had a chance to meet Leonard as well, he's a very experienced coach in CCL as well, isn't it? So one-for-one, it could be relationship problems, that I couldn't work with my boss, right? So isn't that also in terms of some ways nowadays we call it team coaching if you look at it.
Yeah, in that regard, yes, I because I use a lot with CCL, actually, with CCL, and we do one-to-one. It's always been in this case, right? And of course, it's always in relation to their relationships with other people. Yes, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And how was your experience in terms of using that with CCL?
Oh, no, I think it's very intuitive, and the Big Five, and also it's very intuitive because it's very I won't say similar, but it focuses on a lot of the whole Big Five theory, right? So it's immediately understandable and used in business language. So I find it very easy to communicate to because you don't have neuroticism there. You got a need for stability, which I think it lends itself better to corporate settings. Very good.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, and I think that's the reason why as well, the ability to connect using the right kind of words. People don't come back and ask you strange questions, right? So that's what I love. So as you can hear, my friends, for those of us who haven't been using it as much, in a workplace setting between teams, it really helps in communications. The thing is, and it sounds wrong, it sounds strange coming from the distributor, you don't really need a team report to give you that kind of insights, right? In the case of one-on-one coaching, I need this person's report and the manager's report. In the case of 10 persons coming in together, Sanjay can do a lineup. You guys know the tool, and then you go to different sites and you can have the conversation. So the thing is, this works and we know it, right? So the conversation now goes towards remote team and hybrid work, where I'm going again, a very transient project goes on for 3 months, etc. And when there's new team coming in together, this is interesting. And this has aspects in terms of talent optimization, even before this person joins the team. If you want to, you can. Yeah. So that is to say, if you have 10 different candidates coming in, right? And if we assume that they're all good in terms of their interest, their ability, everything passed, right? So which one would blend better in terms of the team dynamics? Right? You can't invite them to join a workshop, right? But if you have a system and you could somehow filter and see how it works, you could see some of these insights over here. And really that's the personally, that's where I see the real strength in terms of this migration to an interactive platform, right? So this is where I want to just set the stage of what's happening. And what I want to do right now is to just quickly run through and give you a sneak peek of this next product, right? So as a reminder, with the launch of the 5.0, number of questions has went down. We now have a new, what we call, competency report, which instead of 54 in the past, right now is 21. They call it, in the past, we used to call it capacitor report. Now it's competency, based on, again, very good feedback from CCR. We work together. We talk about the future competencies needed for knowledge workers. That's the second one that came. But this is the third one. some of you will be thinking, wait, see what's the next one, right? The next one is going to be the leadership as well as the 360, but it takes time, right, to build on it, right? So those are the two interventions that's in the context. But let me show you this one first. Let's focus, right? So this is the next one. We will be, and what I'm showing you, my friends, is still the beta version. The release, the official release, is going to be, mid-September, as we mentioned. So we're still working hard to put some teething, to overcome some teething issues, but you will get that out in September. Okay, so during this period, what I want to do is I'm just excited to share with fellow practitioners, what are some of the things you expect so that you could actually start talking. If you have clients who are already using the Big Five, using some of this, you could envision what, because we're going to give you a little bit of a promotional, I won't say freebie, but privilege for spending your time with us as well. I'll let you know later on. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is this, yeah. So introduce this, yeah. So I'm going to share with you the report itself. So you see, so if you guys can see my screen, yeah, if you guys can see my screen, it's now in the form of a dashboard. So if you have the dashboard, just by signing on to the dashboard, it's got the Group Insights dashboard. You will see that for those of us who took your certification during COVID-19, where we had a hybrid way of facilitation, you'll see that some of this, the way it's designed is pretty much the same, yeah, in some ways. So the design elements is the same. So you go in through your dashboard and you have this Group Insights. So what it means is if you are a company, and you have, let's say, 50 people in your group, right? 50 persons. What you could do is I could create, and among these 50 persons, you could say, okay, I need to have 20 of them being in one group. The other 30, they don't need so much or whatever. So you start off with 20. So that means we're going to sell you this. So it comes with an online access to this platform. And inside it, there will be the data of these 20 people for this group. Right? So this is what it means, and you're going to be charged. So you need not go for everybody, although as you see later on, it's going to make a lot of sense. The reason why we transit here is because at a organizational level, right, you have so much insights from this data. All right. So this is one, and I want to just show you how it really works, right, in terms of the Group Insights report. So I'll just run through. So first thing that you'll realize, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, that is this feature over here that allows you to hide the names. With all the GDPR, PDPA, all those kind of things, sometimes people feel unsafe, psychological safety. So if I do this, right, then what happens is the names will not be shown. You can still see the dots here and there, but the names will be shown. So you have this one feature that is very interesting, right? So using the Group Insights report, on the left will be all the functions. And if you have seen the previous team report before, this part over here is what I always say. You could have a summary, and I'm just going to click on it so that we go there, right? So you see that this is the team trait summary. So if you have 20 guys, I'm going to make it a bit bigger for you because I see some of us stretching forward. I have the same issue myself sometimes, and I'm just going to zoom it in a little bit more for you. Would that be better, my friends? Cool? Okay, thank you. Okay, so now you have this, right? If you take a look over team trait summary, what it does is just like many of the other reports. It just congregates all the data, put it together, so you know who these people are, right? Now, if you take a look over here, of course, in this demo, we have a few things. Person number 1 to person number 6. Okay, so that's their name. It's just that raw data, yeah? We can see a line called the average. So among these 6 people, this will be the average, right, of score of these 6 persons here. So you can see that when you put your cursor over, it tells you some relevant data for those of us who are more analytical. The other thing is you would see that also as I go past, you can actually see how it is. So it's clean. Now, this one, if you take a look, as I talk about this, right, I will talk about, is this set of questions the same as for the individuals? So Chris, thanks for that question, right? The questions are exactly the same. So this is, again, like a follow-up. So we don't need to answer extra questions. If you take a look, right, need for stability, N1 to N4 is still the same. So this initial part of the report, of the dashboard, is just an amalgamation of all the data. So if Chris is person 1, Wei-Si is person 2, will just be represented. It collates the data, put it together. And then based on whoever I selected, it creates an average for us, right? So
Hey,
this
thanks.
is Pretty clear. Thank you. Yeah. Now, what you would also see is that here, right, other than the dots over here, there are some interesting rectangles. Can you guys see where my cursor is? Why? Because there are some cases where it just doesn't make sense. It's just too close to one another, right? And I have many, many dots. It becomes like from a spot of dust to a big marshmallow. So it's not nice. So in cases like this, you see when I put my cursor over, actually these two persons have the same set of data. This is especially useful when your teamer report. Remember, instead of being, limiting it to number of 25 packs in our previous version, in the hard copy version, now you could actually go much higher. You could select a lot of people, right? So this is one of the representation. Now, what could happen is also, I think it's like this. Okay, so if you take a look right now, what I've done is I've only selected 2%. Can you see? So in the case, right, of Leonard, where he might be only looking at 2%, me and my manager, right? Say like this. This person say, my manager always, finds trouble with me. Really? Okay, so you select this, you're person one, manager person two, right? Then this person says always. And as coaches, what do? We say, is it really true? We challenge, right? So I refresh. So that's what you say, yeah? Let's take a look. If it's you and, sorry, let me refresh again. Alternate A4. So instead of person one and person two, I go to person four, who's another manager, right? We say, did the same thing happen with this person, with this profile? No. Could it be driven because of your differences in your N2, because of the way you experience emotions? Right? Then you have the discussion. So it could be dynamic in this way. You could zoom in or you could zoom out. All right, so this is one. And of course, as you move on, you'll see that it's just an amalgamation of all the data, extroversion, etc. And it's just when you have a lot of people in your group and you are having, quite a lot of them in one group together, instead of having 4 separate reports, this can be really dynamic in terms of how you present the data. So this is one, and this is not really an improvement if you look at it. It's just dynamic. I'm just going to go on very quickly. And of course, if you guys have questions, just unmute and ask and type in the chat box, right? So this is one. So it shows you data all the way from your N traits to your sub traits as well, N1, N2, N3. So this is quite clear. The difference, if I take a look, right, is this part over here, me and we. Oh, what happened? I was locked out. Let me just try to log in again. Okay, cool. Gave me a big scare. All right, so I'm gonna go to me and we. All right, so me and we. So one of the questions I always get is, Wei-Si, other than that, and what previous other fellow consultants, what they like, release all these insights. So what? So what if there are 3 persons who are N and 4 persons who are high on O? What does it mean, right? And we don't want to spend so much time reading 200 papers to get those things. So this is where it becomes interesting. So me and we exploration. So based on, again, those reports that we saw previously, right? We went in and we have these 2 items over here. So we have what we call the me plot. Me plot, if you take a look at the verbatim over here, tells us, right, about our more of internal awareness as well, how we work, right? And this is really very useful for, one-on-one communications, understanding individual differences, right? So if you take a look over here, and because I zoom in, it's a little bit lesser, it's a little bit bigger over here. We see over here that it's on 2 different traits, the consolidation trait and the originality trait, right? And we plot it against whether this person is an O plus or O minus, whether this person is a C plus or a C minus. And if you take a look over here at the bottom, and we don't need to know all this right now, what happens if there's an individual who goes under this part, C minus, O plus, which is the one indicated in green, right? And you have nobody. If they are here, these people are adaptable to changes, energized by working on multiple projects. And then you ask yourself, in the workplace, are they really like? But if it's here us, based on the 6 persons we have here, it seems like we have quite a few of us who are in this plot over here, right? Which is O minus and C minus, which is here. And again, it gives you a verbatim as well. What these people like to do, blah, 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 right? And you will realize that I'm going to focus based on the data, people in this quadrant and people in that quadrant, right? So what are the things you could do? what could you do? Well, I have this verbal team over here, but what can I do? What would you like me to do? How can I consult for my guys, right? This is where you could have these cases whereby you download exercises and imagine I've clicked on this, right? If I click on this, it will bring me to, again, I'm going to put it a bit bigger. So this is a we, I'm going to go to the me. Okay. So if you take a look, this is the exercises, right? If I click on the me exercises, it will actually give you a downloadable document that talks about this. And you can run this as an activity. So you show that in class, this is what happens. Okay, so for the individual, now that you know, now that you learn about this, right, what is your reflection? For the team, now that we are clustered like this, how does it impact our strategy for the next year? How does it impact the way we deal with risk and all these kind of things as well? So this is something that you can use, activities you can use in your workshops. Some of you have been corresponding with me to ask about what I do, right, when I run these workshops. So this is something you can do as well as a handout, or you can just ask these debriefing questions, depending on how you like to do it, your style, right? So this is one way you can do it as well. So you realize that there are exercises here. The other thing you can do is the other major change, yeah, is this. Wow, Chris likes it. Thank you. Is this remote and hybrid work. Again, this lenses is really something that we think leaders need right now. Because in the past, it was like, okay, pandemic, okay, 3 months later, that's it, right? We're going to finish it. Then it became 2 years. But we still say it will go back to normal, to pre-2019. But no, this is the way it works now. It's going to be hybrid. You don't offer flexibility, people run away, right? So how are we going to use this data to help us? Right? Again, it's the same set of questions, right, from the trade report. And here you will see that we have several items. If you take a look at these 5 areas. So again, it's from Paradigm's own research. We say that because of the data of your team, right, it has an impact on how you can align, values, align, conversations and decisions among your team members, and which is the one based on research that has an impact. Your E2, A1, etc. And you can see those research over here, those 4 items over here, right? And again, what you could see over here, if I could just share with you, right? So how it's presented, it's on a 2D format. And if you take a look at the legend, it should be at the bottom, right? Estimate of risk. The more green it is, higher the risk, right? So if you take a look at what we have here, I'm going to zoom up a little bit so you can see a bit more of the real estate. Now, if you take a look over here, right? Estimate of risk, high risk. So what it means here, based on the results of the people you have, right, in your team, this is what it's showing. Sociability is going to be a big issue, right? Your because of your E2, right? Because of the E2. So this is what it is, your sociability, right? So I'm going to take a look at sociability, right? Because of this, it can align, right? People who have high degrees of sociability can categorize, can help build relationships. But again, if you have guys who are not so sociable, maybe an issue. So you see this is green. So from this, if you do reverse engineering, what it means is, hey, there are people who are perhaps more introverts, right? Who are not so open to socializing with others as well, right? So maybe, right? So these are several things that you can look at as well in terms of the way of the world of work, from aligning to relating. Again, another set of data as well. All this based on research, right? So based on how you look at things, completing work, isn't that an issue right now? Hybrid. Oh, they work on their own. Will they complete? They start, right? Once they go and do the remote work, they don't finish. Isn't that the fear of leaders? Right. So all this can tell you, give you a data point for you to access your team as well, right? So this is another things that we have added in terms of this report itself. And one more thing. So this one, my friends, remote and hybrid work, this one is an add-on. What do I call add-on? Is like an add-on feature, just like the iOS games that you play, right? You can play. But if you want the best gun in the arsenal, you have to pay $5 more. So same thing like this, right? So this is an add-on feature, remote, and the 5 dysfunctions, which is the really, really, well-received part of the previous days, right? And if you take a look here, Of course, we call this Lencioni, right? And of course, they don't call it dysfunctions anymore as well. Maybe that's why we carry on using the names. 5 behaviors of a team nowadays widely call it, right? So description of this, they are listed in a specific order, and it's more or less the same as what we had in the past. It's just that it's represented in a more dynamic manner based on who you add, based on who is in your team. How it's represented could change. But now what it does is it tells you exactly what is the description of the risk. And in this case, you know that in your case, right, for your team members over here, it's about rebound time. They take a long time. When something goes wrong, you want to inculcate a culture of fail fast, fail early. But if they do something wrong, right, they slap themselves and they just refuse to wake up the next day and say, I don't have any confidence to look at you anymore, right? So if this is the case, what could you do? You can go direct, right, to your rebound time, look at the descriptive, and what could you do? So it becomes really, really actionable, right? It becomes really, really actionable. And we can use this with our teams as well, these insights. So once again, this one and the other one that we have seen earlier, these are add-ons as well, right? Other than this, if you are having teams and new guys coming in, all this, you can just keep adding people. To the report instead of generating new reports every time, which in the long run doesn't make economic sense as well, given the way we work. All right, so I've been speaking a lot right now based on this so far. I'll just like to take a moment, take some water, and ask if there's any questions from anyone. So far, looking good?
Yeah, I have a question, we see. When you say add-on, what does it mean? It means that you gotta, let's say I'm going to run a little project with my team or something. And so for that moment, I want a certain because there are different add-ons, right? It's got absence of trust, fear of confidence. So is it one add-on or all add-ons?
That's a great question, right? That's a great question. So the add-on over here is like once you've added it on, right, it stays forever. So what it means over here is this entire portion, the 5 dysfunction, is one add-on.
Okay.
The entire portion of remote and hybrid is one add-on. So once you have this, right, so subsequently, anybody who joins your team, maybe your team is ballooning, is through, like one of my clients, Luckin Coffee, or they are recruiting like nobody's business, right? Opening up everywhere. So if they come in and they have like 20 guys right now, and somehow they went to 30 guys, and when it was you bought the team report when it was 20, and you have actually already added, this 5 dysfunctions add-on, what it means is this is in it. So if you have 10 more person coming in, you just pay for this 10 extra. So you can, you don't have to repay all these guys who already have the report. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Cool. Anyone else have any questions?
We see this data is from the trade report, is it?
Yes, it's all from the trade report.
Basically, say for instance, like I think what Leno said, if I run a workshop of say 20 leaders, which is coming up soon, and I run 20 trade reports and 20 competency reports, right? So this data we captured here, and then I can, I don't know, later you can share with us, purchase this module or whatever it is for the workshop itself, for the team
workshop.
Okay, all right.
And the thing is, it has to be after September, yeah, Sanjay.
It's in October.
Okay, then you're safe. It should be quite safe, even with delay. So it's launched only mid-September. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, but you mentioned just the 5 dysfunctions. So it's only a dysfunction report. Is that correct? Is that's extra, or
no? So
again, you will explain the pricing later or something?
I'll explain the pricing later.
Okay.
But since you're asking me, right? So for example, if you have purchased this, Xiu Qin, please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. This is the 5 dysfunctions. So if you didn't purchase for this, right, it won't appear in your dashboard.
Oh, okay. So this is a dashboard. And is the dashboard per workshop or
no? It's forever. Yeah, because you say, for example, right, I have these 20 guys. They are one organization, right? So this organization will always have this.
Okay.
The 20% right? The data will always be present. Yeah.
So this function is just one addition, but the other stuff that you showed earlier, right?
So there's this function.
All that stuff.
The rest of those things, right? Me and we is inside. The trade component inside.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now,
and these two are the only ones at the moment, and we have more, my friend. We have more. So right now, when we launch, there's only remote and hybrid work as an extension. and 5 dysfunctions. We will have more.
These two are extensions.
These two are extensions. The basic ones are all those at the top. Now, as I always say to some of us in private conversations, right? A trade report, actually, if we want to save some money, we could just have, if it's 5%, right? Just tell them to plot on the flip chart and do all this, right?
Yeah,
that's what I do right now.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So again, we are all practitioners. We know we just, if it's fine, the value, if you want to buy and make a initial purchase for the base report, is where you know you're going to have long-term work with these people, right? Long-term work, and you know that they have 5 for now for a start, but they're going to have more later on, right? It's going to be talent optimization for the entire group. Oh, then this one becomes much more powerful, because the previous report, 20-page stagnant report, can't do this kind of thing. This one, you could just, can you imagine? Okay, what happens, right? Who are we promoting for the senior position to the C-suite? Is it going to be, Kok Wei? Is going to be Hui Wen, right? So we can just, like what I saw did just now, right? Filter in and out. How would it work? Those kind of things. And that's where the value comes in. But if it's a static one event, my own sensing, I might be wrong, might not be worth it.
Yep.
For investment cost, right?
Yep.
Being brutally transparent and honest about this. Yeah, good. Thank you. Any other questions?
I've got one more. You know the me and we reports that you have, because you showed the me report. Now I just need to understand the we report. Is it what's the difference and
Okay, so the difference, right? If you take a look, thanks for that question, right? In me, we are plotting originality versus consolidation, right? On the other hand, if you're looking at the we focus on another 2 subtraits. We focus on the one that influences our approach to relating to others and collaborating. Which one is it? Extroversion, accommodation. What is accommodation? Are we assertive, right? Do we say yes every time someone offers me sugar, even though I'm a diabetic? These two. So then it frames differently as well. And you see this group, what is interesting, 5 of them fall under here. So it's going to be really obvious in terms of, their scores. Right? In terms of how the behavior manifests. So this is where it becomes interesting. And just in case I wasn't clear just now, that the reflection question for we is also different. If you can take a look, right? Some of it is the same, right, in terms of clustering. But other than that, how does this impact collaboration, communication? So this kind of questions trigger a different conversations. So there are 2 different facilitator, guys. And what is interesting as well is, if you take a look over here, right, beyond this, and it's not so obvious right now, as we run, for example, 5 dysfunctions, if I look at 5 dysfunctions, I'm going to go down a little bit more, right? What you'll realize is you have this, for example, right, this is which dysfunction are we in right now? We are at the absence of trust, right? Yeah, absence of trust. These are the different subtraits, and we talk about what we need to do. But what happens is that in fact, it comes with a facilitation kit at the bottom. So if I click on, now it's empty, now it's empty, it's just a placeholder. But if I click on them, right, you have facilitation tools. How do you facilitate, right, an activity to talk about absence of trust? And later on, if we find that the dysfunctions that is going to be a little bit more prominent for this team is fear of conflict, then you will have some activities telling you, how do you actually talk about conflict? So by itself, this is a mini workshop. Just using the tools here, you could go ahead and have a very nice workshop conversation with your clients. So that explains why it's an add-on, because it's not just the data itself, it's actually coming with entire facilitation toolkit, which is very much in line with what the other vendors are doing as well, right? So they have a separate program for each one of them. Yeah. Nice. Everyone okay so far? Okay, let's take a look over here. Looking at time, I'm aware of time. So this is basically the report itself, the dashboard itself. I'll quickly run through some of these things which we have spoken about. So again, we talk about the scores already, right? It's web-based. It's web-based. Very much, represented clean lines. Anytime you want to redo anything, if you look at my cursor here, you can just refresh, right? And you see this group over here, right? There's 8 persons, 9 persons. You could just, trigger them on and off and filter them accordingly. Very useful when you have like a group of 30, but then 5 of them are from finance, Six of them are from admin. So you can look at everything as a group, as a company level, and then drill down for each one of them. So, and you know, the good thing as well, which I didn't mention just now, is you could do this, it's dynamic in your class, but you could also download this report. So this is a snapshot of this 6% from finance, and you give it to them as a handout. Okay, and they talk about this in the activity. So it can be exported as well. So it's a two-way function, right? It's a two-way function. We spoke about this previously already. So these are the special series, right? Where, you know, you have all this. So this one, if you take a look at this, right? We are not looking at teamer report where we really have, you know, because if you take a look at the real estate over here, there's only limited amount of guys you can have over here. And the intent really is not to have 100 guys coming together, because even in a group with 100, do all 100 of them talk to one another? The value of having 100 guys in such a report might not make so much sense, right? It will not. So what happens is, now with all the data coming in and it's all on the dashboard, and this is what I see, I might be wrong, I think I think it's probably going in that direction, is that with all the data here, you could, in a larger company, right, in fact, do some clustering work and present, oh, my senior managers, they tend to be like this. My directors tend to be like this. And that itself will give you so much more possibilities in terms of how you could look at the data and swing the data. This is something that I feel will be very important if you want to do deep work with your clients, right? So spoke about this already. Yeah. As I mentioned, we have facilitator guides, we have PowerPoint workbooks. It's not in this beta version, but when it's released, all this will be there already, right? 5 dysfunctions, we spoke about this already, right? Previously, again, you have workbook and all this, right? If you have bought the teamer insights report, it will all be in your practitioner toolkit, your practitioner toolbox, right? So it will all be here as well, right? So same like what we have here. If for those of us who haven't already tried this out, bit rusty or something, right? So if you go to your dashboard, you'll see that right now we have, you know, all the sample reports, everything is there. You don't need to be beholden to our response time. Sample reports are there, the reports are there, you know, the PowerPoints are there, feedback presentation, the workplace Big 5 poster. Some of you are asking for this, right? As well, we put everything there. So you could download, use what works for you. So I think this part about, if I can use that song, letting it go, let it go, I think it's nice for everyone. We want it. We don't want to just keep calling, right? So it's all there in the dashboard for you. So all these toolkits will also be part of what you receive as well in terms of a toolbox, right? So this one, we spoke about this already, whatever is inside, right? So PowerPoint representation, workbooks, you don't need to recreate, everything is there. Facilitator guide, show this slide, share this story, this is what you expect, all there. So all these will be inside. So when you create, or should I say, you buy an upgrade in terms of hybrid work, this becomes a workshop that you can sell. You buy 5 dysfunctions, this become a workshop you can sell. Do a leadership program, do a trade, and then move on. Let's go on, explore for the next year. So this, in fact, is a 3-year program, once a year with a client, isn't it? Right? And of course, if there's more, you just keep adding on. And I think as a busy facilitator as well, this makes sense for me, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. All right, so that's what I have, and I'm going to move on to the most important part that you're looking at as well. Okay, and then spend maybe the last few minutes talking about stuff. So yes, so this is what we have. Friends, you know that we have moved on to a credit system, right? You have moved on to a credit systems. So this is the credit systems that we're talking about over here, and it's again tiered. Beyond 100, I think is maybe calling out for a bit more customized work, right? You probably won't have 100 guys talking to each other, and that's the reason why we limit the tier to 100 people, right? In terms of one report. Beyond that, it probably would be, in terms of some clustering, some more insight projects, insight report as well. But in this case, right, for the teamers, or whatever we're presenting to you, this is the kind of cost. And in Singapore, in case you don't remember, the current cost per credit is $5. It's $5, right? So what it means is if it's 75 over here, then I think it's about 375. 375, yeah, 375. So that will be the price of having a tier 1 for 20 people. The other question you might be asking me is how much is it for the static teamer report? If I'm not wrong, it's 50 credits. So that means it's about $250. So that's the price differential, right? That's a price differential that you might be interested in as well. So if you take a look, there is this very interesting column that says introductory discount. And this is, again, what I was saying in terms of our thanks to you for attending. So beginning from the launch, September 13, if we launch on time as planned, until September 27, which is 2 weeks, right? Within these 2 weeks, if any of your clients, they purchase, right? They purchase, you would, in fact, the system, and this is not decided by us, this is by US, will automatically only credit 56. Only 56 credit instead of 75, which is about the same as what you're paying right now for the teamer, right? The basic teamer. So during those 2 weeks, if you are able, you have clients to do this, but it must be taking effect within that 2 weeks period. So because this is system coded, it's not controlled by us. Right, so this will be one of the things. And the add-ons, as you can see over here, is just 30 credits for each one of them. Right, 30 credits for each one of them. So 30 credits, again, $100+. Whole set of books that you can use to print for your guys. It can be e-document as PDF as well, PowerPoint slides. So it's if I look at this versus what some other vendors are charging as well, that my principals are charging, this seems quite decent in terms of what we're getting as well, right? So as I mentioned, as I said earlier, this is the part where I wanted to highlight a little bit more, my friends. If you take a look, tier 1 to tier 2, so imagine there's 20 people right now, right? 20 people. And the next time round, you want to add in 2 more person, because new employees, whatever, right? They add on to the team. It pushes you up into 22. So when it pushes you up to 22 and you still like to have the report of these 2 guys, then you don't need to pay 125, yeah? You just top up the difference. This is something you need to know. If you started with nothing, you pay 125. You started with 75, and because you added a few more guys that pushes you up to the next tier, you only pay the difference over here, which is like 50 credits. Would that make sense? Yeah. So no double counting, yeah, over here, no double counting. So this is the thing that you might be interested in knowing in terms of the pricing, And when is the date? Note this date down, it's going to be September 13, 2023, mid-September. If any one of us have any potential deals, and you need to do because before the actual launch, right, and you need to do a demo or something, I'll be pleased to help you along as well to show to your clients, right? If you want to do it before September 13th, right? If not, we have along the way, as part of our onboarding, as part of our support as well, videos, we have decks to help you in your EDMs as well, to tell your clients about this. Okay. All right, so I've come to the end of what we've planned. 3:51, just where I want to be. Gonna use this time to take any questions and to reconnect as well. Anything at all with regards to the Workplace Big 5, any support I can give together with Eugene, please let us know.
Hey, Wei, would there be a demo version or something that we can access and play with?
Yes, the demo version will be available from September 13 onwards. There will be a site. Yeah, but for now, if you take a look at mine, right, there's still some places, those are still empty. So it's still like a beta. So when you have it, it will look nice.
All these will be on our portal, is it?
It will be a resource which we give to you.
Okay,
like a link, yeah, that you can play around.
So you showed a screen about the portal with all the tools and all that stuff. Is that on our Workplace Big 5 portal?
Yeah.
So that's all going to be there after September 13.
So after September 13, if you have the teamer report, that means if you bought some of this, right, the things will be there.
Okay. Only when you buy the report.
Correct.
So that will be only for when you buy it for the client, basically.
Yeah, for the clients. Correct.
Okay. So but in terms of for us to just play around with a demo or try to understand that also will be available later.
Yes, from the September 13, if I'm not wrong, Eugene, please correct me if I'm wrong. We will give you some resources as well. To say
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good because I mean this is good session, but I think for us to understand a little bit better is it'd be good to be able to, I mean, dummy data, play around with some dummy data to
yeah.
understand what's going on, and so we can articulate this a little bit better to our clients, right?
Definitely.
Mm.
Yeah, and if it's about some of these samples and all this as well, anything you need, you have my number. We'll do our best to support you.
Sample reports or sample screenshots or something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
By September 13, we were doing some testing last week with them as well, so gave some feedback here and there. So we are on the hyperdrive, not me, but they fixing whatever there is, right? So when it gives to you, when it comes to you, you'll be a more suave version what you can show.
So we can expect a notice or an email from you guys when this is ready.
We will.
Okay.
Running up to this, we'll keep you appraised.
Okay. All right.
Thanks. Any other questions? Leah, good to have you. Hanshu, hi. Yeah.
Can we see, we did the session with you, right, CPD, those their individual reports. Do we have to redo the whole thing in order to be able to see?
To have this, no need.
Yeah.
No need.
So all the reports are in the system already, right?
In the system already. So we just need to. So what this does is if you go for, let's say, for example, your career coaches, right, tier 1, right, or your team, right, just get this and it's in, and you can play around with it.
Okay. So once I buy this credit, I mean, I can have access to their reports.
You can have access to their report, you can show, and can play around. Yeah, it's very fun.
Okay. But I might be interested, to run another workshop with you,
Okay.
I mean,
sure.
to go through, I mean, this is not just I look at the report myself, but maybe the whole team can come together similar last time as a workshop, and then go through what you have done, see all the little dots here and there for the 5 traits and all that, and then let everybody go through all the strategies and stuff like that. So I think that will be quite more useful than just they themselves seeing it. We will take it separately.
The dynamics and looking at the data, what do you feel, right? Those kind of things.
Yeah. Some exercises and all that might be good.
We'll be pleased to support.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Hanshu. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Yes. Leah, any questions from you? Enjoying yourself so far? And what Xiuqin has done is in the chat box, she has given us a link where you can explore and check it out as well. Sounds good. All right, so far, right? And of course, Terence, you could think about this as well, right? How this can help your clients to find the most valuable player, isn't it? The MVPs. Thank you. Right. Thanks, Leah. All right. Seems like it's all right from a few of us.
I think I must applaud whoever that's behind the dashboard has revamped the interface. So I'm looking at it. So it's very easy to find information for practitioners. What we can actually extract. I'm looking at even like assessment administration tutorials, instructions for feedback presentation, all this. And then I'm very glad that the Big 5 poster is available for download. I had purchased that years ago, man.
You had to, right? You see,
there's a big one in my office.
The blue one, right?
Yeah. Very big. I got from George. Yeah. So yeah.
You see, nowadays I give everything for free. So not bad, huh?
Yeah. I think it's good for practitioners. So at least as a one-stop platform to get some of the stuffs.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. Great work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Those are available already, right? You said
the posters, those are available already. Those are already available.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So once again, thank you so much. All right, Chris, we'll catch up soon. And if you have any questions, you have the contact of Xiuqin and myself. We are pleased to support anything at all, small, big. And if you just want to chat up, in terms of what's going on, we'll be pleased to do that as well. All right. So thanks so much for your time, guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll keep in
Yep.
touch. Yeah.
We catch
Bye.
up, man. Thanks a lot.
Catch up soon. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care,
Bye, everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.